Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Ahead of the Chains. Now, today we have another giant mock draft for you. It is April. It is mock draft season. The draft is just a few weeks away. Before we get into the festivities of draft season once again, I do want to talk to you guys about how my weekend went. I went to a giant comic convention, and before we recorded, Patrick was calling me a nerd. However,
No, you called
we
yourself a nerd.
I
That
called
that's your
myself a
own
nerd.
fault.
I called myself a nerd. That's true.
Like
You kind of
I
kind of
didn't
nodded in
criticize.
agreement.
I gave a look, but I
Yeah,
didn't
there was a
criticize
look.
you.
There was a look. But then we started talking about Game of Thrones, and I'm curious as to what the Game of Thrones to player comparison would be because I've never seen Game of Thrones. He's seen Game of Thrones. He threw out Kirk Cousins. I thought that was an interesting one, but I'm curious what the Game of Thrones to NFL quarterback comparison would be. So yeah, let me know
Well,
if you
you
guys watch Game
gotta
of
say
Thrones.
the logic for Kirk Cousins.
Go ahead, go ahead. Oh, I haven't seen Game of Thrones, so you got to say the
I mean,
logic for it.
okay, the issue is the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. Well, this conversation started with us just talking about peak TV because I'm watching The Wire right now. The first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones are insanely peak, and I guess that's not really Kirk Cousins, but I was kind of thinking who had a good career. I guess Kirk Cousins from a
No, I know it.
Wallace
I'm sorry. I
perspective.
just thought of it. You know what it is? Game
Mm,
of Thrones is Russell Wilson.
that's accurate. That's fair to say. But I think you could also say it's Kirk Cousins, financially, you know, because
Yeah,
he was
that's true.
making so much money. And in terms of bag chasing, he was number one all time.
Yeah.
But right now, he's completely unemployed. He's getting paid nothing.
Well, if what
So
you're
I
saying
think
is
that would be
true,
my
if what
comparison
you're
for
saying
him.
where it was the first 90% was peak Hall of Fame caliber, that's Russell Wilson. And then we saw Denver Broncos
Yeah.
and New York Giants Russell Wilson. And you
Deshaun
said
Watson.
yeah, but Deshaun Watson's peak wasn't as long as Russ's though. I don't know. I
That's
think
true.
Russell was
That's fair to say.
so
That's fair to say. I don't know. Drop it down below. That's an
yeah.
interesting way to start a mock. Getting
That
them
is.
thinking early.
That
My
is.
lord.
I got to keep you guys on your toes. We can't. You can never let them know your next move, which is why we're taking Ty Simpson first. No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. So for this mock draft, last week, we did it, or 2 weeks ago when we did our first mock. I had the odds. He had the evens, and we both went on based on what we think is going to happen, based on these teams, based on the schemes, based on coaching staffs, roster build, etc. We're going to do that same exact style of mock, but this time it's going to be inverse. He will have the odds, and I will have the evens. So, Patrick, I'm going to pass the baton to you. You have the first overall pick. You are John Spytek in the Las Vegas Raiders. Who are you taking first overall? Please don't build us too much suspense. I cannot take it.
Yeah, I don't know. I heard recently from Dan Orlovsky that every agent likes Ty Simpson, right? So is he in play here? No, it's Fernando Mendoza. It, I think the film tells you it's Fernando Mendoza. And let's be honest, right? If they were thinking Ty Simpson, even remotely contemplating it, we would have heard something about it by now, right? Everyone knows Fernando Mendoza is going number one here. The question now becomes, should he be going number one? And this is something we talked about recently when we were ranking quarterbacks earlier this week. Yeah, I would say he's number one. I really like Fernando Mendoza in terms of just mentally. I feel like we're starting to underrate how much your brain and ability to process can elevate you as a quarterback. I really think that's becoming an underrated skill. And maybe that's because Tom Brady retired. I don't really know. But the point is, Fernando Mendoza, what he does mentally, I think that's what's getting him drafted number one. The ball placement's great. The big knock on Mendoza, and I think it's fair, to an extent, he threw to his first read often. That's because his first read was very open. When the first read wasn't open, he was able to move on and progress through reads. I know he doesn't have a lot of the elite traits, like the arm isn't outstanding, but I still think this could be a guy who's, a top 10 quarterback for the decade. I really do feel that way.
Yeah, my opinions on Fernando Mendoza are known. I'm not as high on him as you are, and as I think the consensus is. Although maybe the pendulum's swinging towards Ty Simpson now, but regardless, I'm not as high as on him as the momentum has built up to. But he's clearly the number one overall pick. This has been
Yeah.
set in
And
stone. I would argue
mhm.
since what October, November, he's been the
Yeah,
number one pick.
exactly.
So
I will agree. I think Cam Ward was a better prospect. I think Jaden Daniels was better. I think Caleb Williams was better. I'm not going to act like this is some crazy outstanding player. It's not ideal for a number one overall pick, but I still think it's a guy you feel good drafting if you're a quarterback needy team, and that's exactly what the Raiders are. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's not even
Yeah.
worth wasting the time with the entire Ty Simpson, Fernando Mendoza stuff.
No, I agree with you. That's who they're going to take. We all know this. But I think the draft gets somewhat interesting at pick 2, although I'm trying to find a way to be creative. I'm trying to find a way to be, different. But the more I think about it, the more that I really just think that Arvell Reese is the pick. Not only what I would do, but I think that's what the Jets are going to do. We talked about how he could be a schematic fit for the Jets in the last episode. And I just think when you look at the ceiling for all the edge rushers in this draft, I think it's undoubtable that he has the highest ceiling. I cannot see the Jets passing up on a guy like Arvell Reese. I don't know that they really care that he's not pro ready because they're not even pro ready. Like, they're not even a professional football team at this point. They're going to draft him. They're going to develop him. They're going to reach for the guy with the highest ceiling. So I am going to go with Arvell Reese here at pick 2 for the New York Jets. Now, again, there's really no getting around pick 1. It's Fernando Mendoza. We all know that. Pick 2, I guess, is a little bit more interesting. But once again, like, if you're the Jets, Arvell Reese just kind of makes the most sense. Whatever direction you pick, he is incredibly strong. I think he might put on a little bit more size. He's a freak athlete. I know he played some Mike linebacker at Ohio State, and that might scare people that, like, oh, they're going to take a linebacker number 2. I'm fairly confident he's going to be an edge rusher basically full time. Like, we talked, maybe he's going to play some, outside linebacker and drop into coverage every so often, and that could be the case. But I think he's going to be a full time edge rusher. They're going to deploy him that way. I truly believe that. And again, if you're looking for the guy with the highest ceiling and the highest potential, I do believe that's Arvell Reese. You could argue David Bailey, you could argue Ruben Bain, whatever. I think if you're, again, looking at purely who has the potential to be the best, it's Arvell Reese, and that's why I think he's the pick at number 2 Jets.
Yeah, I think it's fair. Listen, you're not going to find someone that likes Arvell more than me. I could see them messing this pick up and going with David Bailey. We know my thoughts on David Bailey. But yeah, I'm with you. It's Arvell Reese. They traded away Jermaine Johnson. They have to go edge. So
Mm-hmm.
that should be the pick. Again, it's just between him and David Bailey. Will the Jets do the Jets thing and go David Bailey instead? We don't know. Uh, and also, like, let's say they don't just line him up at edge. I love his film at linebacker, too. Like, enough to say taking him at 2. Yeah, I know it's the number 2 overall pick, but, like, I'm still fine with him being this versatile Swiss Army knife player in this Jets defense if they choose to go that route with him. So, yeah, I'm comfortable with that if you're the New York Jets. And we have his teammate going number 3 overall. I have Sonny Styles going to the Cardinals.
Ooh,
I
first
think,
red alert of the day.
yeah, I think you're looking at a league that loves athletes, right? Sonny Styles, the combine he had, that's the type of thing that gets you drafted top 3, even as a linebacker, right? And I do think this is a Cardinals team that needs some offensive linemen. I'll definitely say that, needs some offensive linemen. But I don't see an offensive lineman here that you need to take at 3. I see a player in Sonny Styles that you put into that defense, they could be really damn good in the future because they have Styles there and they have some other nice pieces to work with. I think you throw Sonny Styles on that defense, watch some fun stuff happen because he's a hell of a football player. And it's not just the athleticism. You see his tape, he plays the linebacker position just how you want it to be. And he's pretty transformative in terms of just how athletic he is and his ability to cover, too. I mean, this is a guy who right now, this is the big issue in NFL defense. Teams are struggling to defend the pass out of base. And that's why we're seeing teams do what Clint Kubiak did all year and won a Super Bowl doing. So much more heavier personnel on the offensive side of the ball and then passing out of it because teams are struggling to defend the pass out of base defenses when they have a 7-man box. When you have a guy like Sonny Styles who has a safety background, well, that's how you start solving that issue, right? Because, yeah, he's a linebacker, but he could cover like a safety. So I think Sonny Styles is going to be a big part of kind of what you need to be as a modern defense.
See, this pick I like, and it's spicy, number 1. That's why I like it. But B, if you're the Cardinals, you're like in a really bad spot to have the 3rd overall pick, in my opinion, because you need a quarterback. There's not a quarterback worth taking at 3. You don't need offensive playmakers because you probably have that pretty well. But is there an offensive lineman that you like love to take third overall? I don't think so. Like this, there's not like a Joe Alt in this draft class. So for me, I agree with you. Take a guy who can be a weapon in the middle of your defense. I know that they got kind of burned by taking Isaiah Simmons, not the same player stylistically, obviously, because he was kind of the man without a position, not the positionless player, or not the guy with every position. He was the guy with no position. But Sonny Styles is a true linebacker. I agree. His combine performance speaks for itself. Probably the best athlete we've seen coming into the draft in a long, long, long time. I'm with you. The other point to this is look at the other linebackers in their division. Ernest Jones helped to transform Seattle's defense. Fred Warner has been the best linebacker of his generation. Why not lead by their example and get a guy in Sonny Styles who could be your franchise linebacker, your leader, your green dot player for years to come? I really like that pick. I'm going to make another wow pick here, and I should have, I thought you were going to do this in the last mock draft, and then you kind of put me in a predicament. But I'm going to go with Jeremiah Love here for the Titans at pick 4. I think their offseason has been all about surrounding Cam Ward with the competency around him that he needs to succeed. I really do. And when you have a player like Jeremiah Love, one of these like once every few years running backs, right? I know you said, Patrick, that you like him a little bit more than Ashton Jeanty. You liked Ashton Jeanty a little bit more. I probably prefer Jeremiah Love a little bit more. But when you have a player like this who's able to do so much things, he is able to be a one-cut guy, be a guy that can run between the tackles, guy he could run outside zone, he could, split out wide. I think his receiving ability is underrated. This is a do-it-all player. And to add a guy like this to the offense, to Brian Daboll's offense, I think is going to be a key priority for the Titans. Again, could they use more receivers? Yeah, there's probably not a receiver in this draft that you're super comfortable taking at 4. Could they use, another offensive lineman? Yes. Maybe there's not a guy that you like taking at 4. Taking what is arguably the best player in the draft, taking positional taking positional value out of it, taking a guy who is arguably the best player in the draft at pick 4, a guy who's going to supremely help your young quarterback establish himself, give him a weapon, give him a security blanket. I mean, the running backs on the roster right now are Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, right? Neither of which are, I would say, playmakers, neither of which are dependable with their injuries. Jeremiah Love, to me, makes a lot of sense for Tennessee. I know, kind of your feelings about taking a running back, and honestly, my feelings about taking a running back that high. I understand that it's a luxury position. Again, this is not necessarily what I would do. I'm trying to fit myself into the frame of mind of what the Tennessee Titans are going to do, and their mindset has been, as it should be, to give as much support to Cam Ward as possible. I think they take Jeremiah Love here at pick 4.
So, I mean, you know how I would feel about this pick.
Yeah.
And I do get the mentality, right? You're helping your young quarterback. He needs playmakers on that side of the ball. Your wide receiver 1 right now is Wan'Dale Robinson. Like,
Yeah.
I understand that. But at the same time, Cam Ward doesn't check the ball down really. Like, that's just not his style, right?
Maybe he will
It was
now
the
with
same
Trevor
way in
Lawrence.
college. Well,
Yeah.
that's fair to say, but let's not act like Tajay Spears and Tony Pollard aren't guys that could catch the ball out of the backfield. How much was he throwing it to him? He wasn't. It's just not his style. It isn't. And yeah, Jeremiah Love, he's a heck of a weapon. I'm not saying that he isn't. I just don't really like the fit between him and Cam Ward. And that's where you see a lot of these teams go wrong. And I'm not necessarily saying this won't happen because of it, but I am saying it would be a mistake if they choose to go this route. You see teams stay bad and continue to pick in the top 10, top 5 when they don't really know how to build upon their first round picks, right? So yeah, you drafted this great offensive player with pick 1, but then you draft this great offensive player with pick 2. And then year 3, you're going to draft another great offensive player in early round 1. Well, if you don't draft guys that work with one another and fit a good scheme with one another, you struggle. Like, good things don't end up happening. Look at Atlanta and look at how much talent that they stacked up on. Drake London, Kyle Pitts, Michael Penix, all those guys you drafted with a top 10 pick, right? Bijan Robinson. But there was no real blending of it. And I just don't see how Jeremiah Love and his play style blends with Cam Ward. That's my concern with that. But it could very much happen. It seems a lot like it will because they haven't really made moves for a running back.
Yeah, and I think too, just again, I'm trying to look at like the past of the coaches. Brian Daboll had Saquon Barkley, and Robert Saleh had Christian McCaffrey when he was in San Francisco. Like, I do think that both of those guys have an affinity for the high-end elite type of talent at running back. And I agree with you. If I was Tennessee, I probably wouldn't do this. But I'm trying to get into the mind of Mike Borgonzi and, like, all right, what would they do? What are they thinking? What are they trying to accomplish? That's why I'm predicting Jeremiah Love going to Tennessee.
All right. So you said my number 3 pick was like this big bombshell, right? Every draft, I mean, we just mentioned Michael Penix going in the top 10. There is like a huge bombshell, right? You ready to hear who I have the Giants taking at number 5? Right here.
Oh, boy, am I ready.
A team that, specifically John Harbaugh, is very willing to kind of throw positional value to the side. I think the Giants go Vega Ione out of Penn State right here, the guard, right? Now, this is more of me trying to get this deep hard read and go off the books, right?
Okay.
I mean, this is the same mentality that got me to predict Alex Leatherwood going to the Raiders, right? You kind of just look at what teams have done in the past, right? And look at what specifically John Harbaugh has done in the past. He's willing to draft a safety round 1. He's willing to do it twice. He's willing to draft a guy like Tyler Linderbaum round 1. Quentin Nelson, right? He was a heck of a guard in college. The Colts decided to do something risky and take him really early. Did that pick age very well, Mike? Yeah.
I'd say so.
Quentin Nelson was a very good player. He still is a very good player for them. John Harbaugh is about pounding the rock, right? He wants to rely on his defense and he wants to play physical football. He said that. I think there's no better way to do that than going ahead and stacking up on the offensive line right here. Get Cam Scatterbo, a nice guy to go ahead and block for him. Get Tyrone Tracy, a hell of an athlete, to go ahead and block for him. I think Vega Ione at number 5 is the move right here for the Giants.
Yeah, certainly would be a wow moment. But you're right. John Harbaugh's the same guy who took a safety, in the top 15 when everybody said you couldn't do that. They took Kyle Hamilton. He's been excellent. And I think interior offensive lineman, in my opinion, is one of those positions where there's not a bigger, other than probably quarterback, there's not a bigger discrepancy between supply and demand, right? There is not a lot of supply of good interior offensive linemen, but there is a hell of a lot of demand. Every team needs 2 of them. I would say if you have an elite interior offensive lineman, arguably more than ever, it is so valuable for your football team. Pick 5 maybe is a bit rich. I will give you that, but I could see it. I mean, John Harbaugh is a guy, you're right, he wants to build the trenches.
And some of these guys really like Vega Ione. I need to stress that.
I've seen him that he's like, I've seen him consensus kind of like top 15 prospect-wise in the past.
Well, yeah, and a lot of people will say like Vega Ione, if you ignore some of the position value, like he's outstanding. Like he's one of those top-notch players. And some people say, I'm not as high on some people as some people are, but a lot of people are saying like this is one of the best guards we've seen coming out of college in recent memory. Like, again, I'm not that high on him personally, but I know a lot of people are huge on him and his films.
The other thing that's not in his favor is like, played at Penn State. They had a disaster of a year, like disaster. Yep. So what if he played for Ohio State, or if he was on Indiana? Like, would he be a top 10 pick consensus? Who knows? Would he be Quentin Nelson, who played for great Notre Dame program for so many years? I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah, no, I think it's completely valid to say. And again, I could just picture it right now. You brought in Pat Ricard to play fullback for this team. You have Jackson Dart, who can run the football himself. You have Scatterbo. You have Tyrone Tracy, who I really like as a running back. And then you just look at that offensive line. Andrew Thomas, John Runyon, who's been really good for them. You're still working on center, right? John Michael Smith.
They got Evan Neal back, though.
Yeah, well, Evan Neal. Yeah, that's huge for them. He's not making it to the regular season.
Didn't he sign a 2.5 year? Didn't he sign a $2.5 million?
He signed like the minimum.
Zero guaranteed.
Yeah, $0
I don't think I've ever seen that in my life.
Mm-hmm. Jermaine Illuminor at right tackle, but then
exactly.
you have that hole at right guard right now.
Yep.
You address that with Ione, and now you just pound the rock.
Dude,
all game long.
Plug
like
him
I can
in.
see it.
They got a sneaky argument for like top 5 offensive line in the league. Like they really do. They really do. So I'm with it. Pick 6 here for the Cleveland Browns. There's a lot of directions we can go in, right? We say that every year about the Browns. There's a lot of directions they could go in. Me personally, I'm kind of at a point where I'm debating between 2 guys, but I am going to go ahead. I said that, and then I'm still stuck on it a little bit. But I think I'm gonna go. Well, I think with what they would want to go with, I think Ruben Bain would probably be the pick here to pair him up with
Mm.
Miles Garrett. Um,
Ooh,
I
that's
don't know that
tough.
I
That's
would
tough
do
to
this.
deal with.
Yeah, I don't know that I would do this, but the temptation of having Ruben Bain next to Miles Garrett, that
Also,
that
these
is
Miles Garrett trade rumors, right? Those
yeah, you're
starting
right.
up.
Oh yeah, that would stoke the flames. Did you see
Yeah.
the meme where it was like if Mike McDonald gets Miles Garrett and it's Thanos with all the 6 Infinity Stones? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. But anyways, yeah, I think if you're the Browns here, there's really no way to go wrong. Like Carnell Tate makes sense, Caleb Down makes sense, Ruben Bain makes sense, edge rusher, safety, receiver, quarter. Like Ty Simpson kind of makes sense here. If they took Ty Simpson, I'd be like, okay, I get it. They have Shador Sanders, which they probably shouldn't do. But regardless, like I think so many things make sense. So to me, it's kind of hard to get a read on what they do. I do think the temptation of having Ruben Bain alongside of Miles Garrett would be just so like. I mean, they tried it with a couple other guys and it hasn't worked super well to have a dominant guy opposite of Miles Garrett. I think if you really like Ruben Bain and you see him as one of the top guys in the draft, I know that you're not high on David Bailey. So I've heard. Listen, I've heard consensus rankings all over the board on these edge rushers. I've heard David Bailey at 1. I've heard him at 4. I've heard him wherever. So it's kind of just my guess is as good as yours on which edge rusher they prefer if they decide to go edge. The Browns to me are a team at 6 that I'm having a hard time getting a read on because, like I said, they could really go in any direction. They're not like a couple of these teams that, like you said, have a specific hole in one spot or a specific hole in the other spot. The Browns, they need help everywhere. They need help all the
Jim
way down from
Schwartz.
ownership down.
I think Jim Schwartz's favorite
Isn't he
is
gone though?
definitely.
I'm pretty sure he
No, there was
left.
that entire. It was really weird.
Yeah.
He's kind of just leveraging his way into a new deal. Is what he's trying to do.
Okay.
He's saying
That's
like
what I
he's
thought he
mad
was doing
about the
too.
Todd Monken thing. He's just gonna end up
Yeah.
getting extended. Like that's just what this
Yeah.
is.
Okay. That's
It's
okay.
all negotiating. That's how I feel about it. He's frustrated with the team, but he hasn't left, at least not yet. And now it would be really late for him to leave. He wouldn't get another defensive coordinator job. He has to stay there at least for another year. But I think in terms of just his defense, he would go Ruben Bain. Right. Ruben Bain.
That was my thought too. That was my thought.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Ruben Bain, he anchors down the edge. And that's what Jim Schwartz likes. Jim Schwartz wants to have these defensive ends that have the hand in the dirt and the strength to hold up on the edge. And Ruben Bain definitely could do that and get to the quarterback too. So yeah, man, I'm
His tape's
100%
amazing.
behind it.
People don't love the
Yeah.
measures, like his arms are short. I get it, but
And
the
it
tape
is a
on him
real
is
concern.
fantastic. It is. No, it is.
Yeah.
It is. And that's why, like, people, I can tell people in the comments, be like, don't take David Bailey if he fell to 6. I get that. They're really not going to have any contest with me, but again, my guess is good as yours. I do think that he's a better fit in Cleveland's
Yeah.
offense. But go down to pick
At
7,
7,
Patrick.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Who do you got?
don't think David Bailey keeps falling. Even though I don't really like him, I think the Commanders will like him. I think this is kind of. I know that they just paid an edge rusher a lot of money, but that edge rusher is Jalen Phillips, who has very questionable health. So I have a lot of trust that they go with a guy like David Bailey, and now you consistently have a healthy edge rusher that at least as a team you're confident in, someone that you hope could get to the quarterback consistently, and with an athletic profile like that. Again, the combine is so important, and it dictates so much about where a player gets drafted. With the way David Bailey tested athletically, he's definitely gonna get picked at lowest at pick 7. I feel like.
Yeah, I think in our situation, if the Browns go with David Bailey, the Commanders would go with Ruben Bain. Vice versa, we have it this way. You're not going to get any contest from me. I think both of these teams are in prime position to take edge rushers. Moving on to pick number 8, I think the New Orleans Saints are in kind of a weird spot where they're not necessarily like horrible enough to be like a tanking super rebuilding team because they reportedly like love Tyler Shuck, like they like love Tyler Shuck. So it seems like they're trying to be somewhat competitive, which to me would mean that okay, like we need to get guys that are going to help our team sooner rather than later. I think one of the big positions of need that they have is at the receiver position. I'm going to go with my number 1 receiver. I'm going to go with our number 1 receiver, which is Mekhi Lemon out of USC. I think, like I said, they are trying to support Tyler Shuck in every way possible. Sign Travis Etienne in free agency. I think Alvin Kamara is going to get the curb, and he's going to be out of New Orleans. But I imagine that they go receiver here. I think that's probably their biggest position of need if they want to get a real evaluation of Tyler Shuck. And again, we talk about the Saints like they're a really bad team, which I believe they are. But damn it, they were half a game away from winning the NFC South
Yeah.
last year. I
Yep.
mean, like, marginal improvement could win them the NFC South. So a guy like
Yeah.
Mekhi Lemon, I think, could be a day one impact player for them. We did a whole in depth, analysis of the receiver draft. So I'm not going to get totally into it, but I think he's got really good potential, and I think that he's probably the number one receiver on most people's big boards. I would imagine he's on the Saints as well. I
Mhm.
know people will argue, oh, he's similar stylistically to Chris Olave.
Yeah.
Forgive me, but
That's
beggars can't be choosers.
actually my
Forgive me,
concern.
but beggars can't be choosers. You know what I mean?
But
You got
I
to take
think
good
this
points.
is a draft class where it's so close in terms of that top dog at the receiver position, where you probably go style over everything else, right? Maybe you like Mekhi Lemon a little bit more, but I think Carnell Tate helps your offense more here. And that's coming from me as someone that had Carnell Tate 3 spots lower in my receiver ranking, right? I just think Carnell Tate offers you more of that big body vertical presence, right? And possession ability and ability to settle versus zone that Chris Olave isn't really doing as well. Olave's more of the speedy technician route runner, while Carnell Tate's more of the big body possession guy. That is a good recipe in a receiver room.
No, I agree. And listen, I'm really high on Carl Tate. I was like basically a coin flip, and when we were doing our receiver rankings on who to put higher. But again, I think maybe the Saints like his quarterback friendliness with because we talk about route running with McCollum, just his friendliness, his ability to get open. Maybe that's more valuable to them
Mm.
than the perimeter guy who's able to, he's bigger, et cetera, et cetera. So I think maybe they'll value the Mekhi Lemon quarterback friendliness, getting open, being more of a security blanket for him. But again, I am contradicting myself by saying that he is similar stylistically to what a Chris Olave is.
But
But
some
definitely think,
offensive coordinators like that, right? I don't think Kellen Moore is one of them. In all fairness, I do think Kellen Moore wants more of a complete receiver room. But there are some offensive coordinators that do prefer, like Kyle Shanahan. He wants route running specialist, and then like a gadget guy. But like the guys he lines up as outside receivers, he wants them to just be good route runners. That's all he cares about. So some guys are fine with consistency in stylistic perspective among their receivers.
yeah, absolutely. But Patrick, let's move on to pick number 9. Who do you have Kansas City taking to potentially resume their dynasty after taking a 1-year hiatus?
Yeah, the Chiefs right now, Mahomes is coming off this major injury. You got to protect him. That is the top priority. Priority number one for this team is keeping Mahomes on the field, protecting him. He has kind of been under siege in the pocket for the past few years. Right now, right tackle is an issue, right? You like Josh Simmons, who's manning down the other tackle spot. That's the big question. The Wanya Morris thing, it hasn't worked out so far. He was drafted in 2023 and really still hasn't carved out a huge role for himself. I think this team is going to go offensive tackle. Here's the first offensive tackle off the board, which surprised me. I really thought the Browns, you would have them going offensive line earlier with a guy like Monroe Freeling potentially. Monroe Freeling isn't going to be this pick. Let me clarify that because I know we had an issue last time. The offensive tackle I have the Chiefs taking here is Francis Maligoa because I know Andy Reid loves these massive bodies on the offensive line, and Maligoa is exactly that. So I think, will be the pick for the Chiefs. Got to protect Mahomes. This is how you do it.
Yeah, no, I don't appreciate that stray you threw at me about the Browns. I stand by what I said. They could literally use help everywhere, so any position would work.
Mhm.
But this is an absolutely, that's the right call for the Chiefs. My thought process with the Chiefs was to go corner because of the Trent McDuffie trade. But honestly, I think if you're looking at what you could get later in the draft, I think it's a lot more likely you can get a quality corner later in the draft than you get a quality off the tackle. I mean, those guys, they dry up real quick in the draft. They dry up real quick. So if you're going to get one, it is probably going to have to be with at least one of their first round picks, probably their first pick, which is pick 9. So I agree with you there. Let's go to the Cincinnati Bengals. This is a team, again, I see them needing help in a lot of different areas. Offensive line is one of them for certain. But if you're the Cincinnati Bengals, in my opinion, you have to go defense. I mean, your defense has just let you down tenfold over the last several years. That and combined with Joe Burrow's health. So again, I think the decision is between going with an offensive lineman or going with defense. I am gonna go with Caleb Downs. I think that they go out, they get one of the best defensive players in this draft to shore up that side of the ball. And again, I think he's a guy. This Bengals defense, they lack leadership. They lack, forgive my cringe, they lack an alpha. Okay, they lack a guy who is just going to take command, who is going to be the heartbeat of their defense. They don't have a guy like that right now. And I know that they signed some guys in free agency. Most notably, probably was Boye Mafe. But they need a guy to me who is going to be a leader. I would honestly be okay with him being the green dot guy if he's going to be in Cincinnati. They need to improve their defense. Their defense has been embarrassing for several seasons now, and they go with what a lot of people had for a while, probably before the combine, as the best defensive player in the draft. I love Caleb Downs. I think he's an excellent player. I hope that they let him play his style of football, which is closer to the line of scrimmage, being all over, kind of being just a guy who's going to scan the field, read the formation, and go make a play. I like Caleb Downs here for the Cincinnati Bengals, but again, I can definitely see the argument for offensive linemen as well. But I think if you're the Bengals, you look at these great seasons that Joe Burrow has put up that has been hampered by defense. You got to go defense with your top pick here.
Yeah, and I mean, Downs fell. Downs fell a lot. This is great value, a rare circumstance where the Bengals find themselves actually like leaving the first round of the draft with their fans pretty happy here. If the board played out this way, I think it's just a draft class where a lot of guys stand out because of traits. Downs is just smart. All right. And Downs' tape tells the whole story. And that's why he falls a little bit, but he's still going to really reward whatever team takes him, especially if a team just has to spend their 10th overall pick on him instead of spending like some top 5 capital. I really like Downs. I really like this pick. I'm a fan here. Now, for Miami, I do entertain corner because Mansour Delane is here, and I do think this is just a really good player. Miami's this team that should probably go best player available just because they need everything, right? So I think we will go Delane. I think that's the move just because, again, best player available should be the play. We're still kind of getting a read on John Eric Sullivan. He's coming from a Packers team that really likes athletes, really likes to draft these, again, traitsy guys, these very fast guys, very strong guys. But I kind of just want to read this out. I think the smart play is to go with the best player on the board. And I think Delane checks that box at the moment. So I think the Dolphins would make that pick
I appreciate you not duping me out like you did last time because I was ready to click Delane and then I stopped and you're like, no, I'm gonna go with him, and so I was able to click and we didn't have our.
Well, yeah, because honestly, I wasn't sure what to do. It's a war room of our own as we go into this podcast. Him falling like that Dolphins pick's really hard because again, I kind of want to go best athlete on the field. I was thinking like Lineman, right?
That's what I did in our last mock. I did Lineman, so I was like,
I was thinking about that. I was thinking they need a receiver now that they traded away Waddle. Yeah. But again, I think the way the Packers draft, I think they'll like some of the receivers available later. And I'm not just talking about late round 1. I'm saying like round 2.
Right.
Again, they like more of these athletic players.
Yeah.
He's coming from a Packers team. That's the way they drafted. I don't really think he would love any of the receivers available right here. They need anything they could get. And I just think Delane's the best player on the board.
Yeah, I agree with you. And like speaking about the Packers, like Matthew Golden was the first receiver they took in the first round in like 20, 25 years. Like they do not take receivers in the first round. So do they need a receiver? Do they need multiple receivers? Yes. Are they going to take one? I don't think so. I'm with you. I think whatever's the best player on their board, taking a premier position in corner to me doesn't hurt as well. That's why I was second guessing my Dylan Thieneman pick a little bit because he is a safety. So I'm like, is that a position they're going to prioritize? I don't know. Corner, if you're neck and neck between the two players, the positional value obviously wins out with corner. Now, number 12 with Dallas. This is another hard pick for me because I can think about conventionally what I think the Cowboys should do, but then I have to reframe my mind to think, what will Jerry Jones do? Like, what is the Jerry Jones methodology of thinking? And to me, like, I am really struggling to kind of narrow down what a Jerry Jones pick is, but I do think after kind of deliberating about it and really considering it, I do think Dylan Thieneman is probably a guy that they could end up going with. He tested very well at the combine. This guy's a really good athlete. I think traitsy guys is somebody that Jerry Jones really likes. And their defense was straight up booty cheeks last year, right?
Mhm.
Just being blunt. If you look at the offensive side of the ball, they got Dak Prescott locked up, CeeDee Lamb's locked up, George Pickens is locked up for now. They re-signed Javonte Williams. Their offensive line is solid. Not a lot of holes in this offense. Like, this is a unit that, was really let down by their defense. I do think they go on the defensive side of the ball, and a toolsy, traitsy guy like Dylan Thieneman playing the safety position for them, I think would be beneficial. And I think it's a position that Jerry Jones would love to, or a player that Jerry Jones would love to draft, given how popular he was post-combine.
Yeah, the Cowboys, they definitely operate in this weird way as a team, right? So I could absolutely see them going Thieneman, like you're saying, right? I mean, that defense got them killed last year, and they didn't really add the players in free agency. I think will make major changes, right? I didn't see enough of the changes, especially in the secondary. So yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a move for them. Now, them going safety around here, I think it's valid because of who the player is. I think Thieneman is a very good body and someone worth taking in this range for a lot of teams. I just think it's such a flexible skill set. But yeah, no, I'm with you. Now we look at the Rams with pick
I think I
13.
know who you're going to take, and it's about to terrify me, but go ahead.
So looking at the Rams, they're just so well rounded as a team. I mean, everything from the offensive line, even after Havenstein went down, they were still really good at protecting Stafford. Everything from the offensive line to the quarterback, of course, Matthew Stafford's playing great. Maybe you want to address that for the future, but I don't think they're going to go future. The fact that they traded for Trent McDuffie tells you this team's in win now mode. They are. So what will help them right now? Again, they're great on the defensive line. They really bolstered up their secondary. Well, I do see one little spot, wide receiver 3. Now they mainly go heavier personnel, 12 personnel. They have a really good 13 personnel package. But if they do want to go 11 personnel, well, they're not deep at all at receiver. They have their top 2 guys, Devontae Adams and Puka Nacua, but then after that, it's slim pickings, really slim pickings. I think that this is a receiver pick for sure, and I think it's Jordan Tyson. I think you line him up in the slot and just watch him work, man. Now, this is where Mekhi Lemon would be awesome for Sean McVay. I think that'd be an awesome fit, but Mekhi Lemon already went. So Jordan Tyson being the pick here, not just for 11 personnel. I know that that's the main point I want to make here, and that's the first thing I mentioned. But what if Devontae Adams goes down, right? Who's your wide receiver 2? You got to have a plan for that. And the way Puka Nacua has been acting off the field and some of these allegations, you might have to get ready for him getting suspended. So, yeah, I think receiver depth is necessary. You can't guarantee the same injury luck. I think they go wide receiver. They don't build for the future. They build for right now. Go ahead and get Jordan Tyson, I think's the pick.
Interesting because back-to-back teams who are picking way higher than they should be, right? The Rams should not be picking at 13, and we don't expect the Ravens to be picking at 14 anytime soon, who, like we said, are in win-now modes, and I think both need receivers. And I think if you're Eric DeCosta, the 2 biggest moments of joy in your entire offseason would be when the Rams right in front of you take Jordan Tyson, and B, when Max Crosby's physical failed so you can get your first-round pick back. I'm sorry, that was a stray. But I think that Cardinal Tate falling to the Baltimore Ravens would be phenomenal. Stylistically, very different than their other receivers like Rashad Bateman, Zay Flowers. That's my issue with taking, a player like a Jordan Tyson or maybe Mekhi Lemon as well. Very similar stylistically. I think they need a new flavor of receiver. They need something that they haven't had in a long time. I'm trying to think, have they had a receiver like that since like Anquan Bolden? Is that the last
No,
guy?
I would say Rashad Bateman is supposed to fill that role.
Well,
I
he
mean,
hasn't though.
he has. Oh,
On paper,
well. So here's the
he's
reality
supposed
with.
to fill that role, but he hasn't
Okay.
in real life. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I mean, that's
Like, when
kind
did
of the
they?
reality with the Ravens. They just haven't had great receivers like ever. Really.
Yeah,
I mean, they were never
and
great.
they didn't draft Anquan Bolden. Obviously, that was a good free agent addition they made, but I don't know. I think that if they're sitting at 14 and Cardinal Tate's available, I think they would love to take the Ohio State Buckeye. Jordan Tyson, to me, isn't a fit with them, just given the style of their other receiver. But Cardinal Tate fits like a glove in this offense with Declan Doyle now calling the plays, in my opinion. Which we don't know a lot about, admittedly, of his play style.
We don't.
But
But just
but
coming from that tree, you feel good. Like I I hate helmet scouting, and I do think basing your evaluation of a coach off of the fact they worked with this other coach is kind of like helmet scouting, but I also think it works a lot more.
It's also all we have. Like, that's all we have to go
Yeah,
off of
yeah,
right now.
exactly. So I think Declan Doyle is going to be very good. So lock him in for the assistant coach of the year award already. But in
For
all
his
seriousness,
29-year-old, yeah,
yeah.
bro's first
In all
job is
seriousness, I am with you. I think the receiver run it goes, and the Ravens go ahead and take Carnell Tate there. And I think it'd be a good pick. Again, now you have an interesting dynamic of Zay Flowers, Carnell Tate.
mm-hmm.
Do you still have confidence in Rashad Bateman? Hey, maybe as a wide receiver 3, who knows, right?
Maybe that's his role going forward. Is he's a 500-yard a year wide receiver 3, and that's
Yeah.
just who he is.
Hey, more yards than me.
Yep.
More yards than both of us combined. So I'm not gonna try. And I loved Rashad Bateman coming out of college. So if he's a wide receiver 3, maybe that's great. That actually seems like a good receiver trio in my mind. Lamar Jackson maybe goes ahead and wins his 3rd MVP throwing to those guys. Who knows?
Hey.
Very possible. But the Buccaneers, I have them locked in going corner. I do.
Yeah.
I don't think Jermon McCoy is the pick. We saw what happened to Will Johnson. Last year. His stock plummeted. His film was great, and he ended up being really good with the Cardinals, but his stock plummeted. He fell out of the first round. I do think that's a likely reality with Jermon McCoy. I really do. I think unless a team is really willing to take a risk, they're not taking Jermon McCoy at all. Like, they just have him entirely crossed off. The Buccaneers right now they're trying to win. Like, the NFC South, say what you want about it kind of being a crapshoot, but it's open. They want to take advantage. They're not going to take some corner that hasn't played football in like a year, won't even do the combine. I mean, they want to take a player who's going to contribute right now. We don't really know what's going on with Jermon McCoy. No scouts really know. I think they're going to go ahead and take Avion Terrell. To me, that seems like a perfect scheme fit in the Todd Bowles system, right? All the man coverage stuff that he likes to do. And man, this guy's good at man coverage. It's a really good DB class, in my opinion. I actually really like it. And Avion Terrell, I mean, it sucks. He kind of just gets caught in the mix with that many good defensive backs, but he's a very good player. I think the Buccaneers go ahead and take him.
Yeah, I really like that. And I love the fact that you mentioned how the Buccaneers they had won it, 5 years in a row, the South, and this past year they lost it by a half a game. They're in striking distance for the NFC South. Absolutely, this is a very winnable division. You called it a crapshoot. It's a very winnable crapshoot. And so for them, getting a player that is going to make an instant impact, I think is more important. For the Jets, I want to make the opposite argument. I think that, like they did with pick 2, they want to say who has the highest ceiling. Might not be the best on day 1. Might not be the best in year 1. Who has the highest ceiling? That is where I do think I will go Jermon McCoy for a couple of different reasons. Number one, like I said, I don't need him to be a full-time great player year 1. What the Cardinals did with Will Johnson last year is kind of the blueprint here, where if they had depended on him to be their number 1 corner on a contending team day 1, that'd be really risky. But they're a team that was in a rebuild. They took a guy who was, like you said, had great film, but was coming off a bad knee injury. I saw some people say he was never going to play football before. Like, it got pretty bad. And good player. Right? Good player, despite all the medical red flags. Jermon McCoy, to me, is similar in that trajectory on his injury. Again, is he going to be a great player week 1? No. But after trading away Sauce Gardner and after, not having an interception all of last year, corner is a significant area of need. And with this 12th overall pick, they need to go for a guy, I think, with the highest ceiling to help their defense. Jermon McCoy and Arvell Reese are 2 guys who, if they both reach their potential, you're talking about 2 superstars at 2 premium positions on the defensive side of the ball. I like Jermon McCoy here for the Jets here at pick 16.
This is exactly how Detroit wants the board to fall right now, because there's one specific player who, if we were doing trades in this mock draft, they would trade up just to take him. Monroe Freeling still being available. This is exactly what Detroit needs. Taylor Decker, he's gone. No longer there. They need to find a new left tackle. Left tackle is a glaring hole on this football team. They've been winning games because of the offensive line. People talk about Jahmyr Gibbs. They talk about Amon Ra. The offensive line was the spark that made the Lions a great team again, right? It was because of Penny Sewell and what the guys were doing up front. They no longer have Taylor Decker, right? Monroe Freeling, I think it's a slam dunk. The fact he fell like this, and I really like another offensive tackle that's still on the board, Spencer. For now, I just think they're going to go with the bigger body who's more of a, finisher, like blocks through the whistle. I think that's more of how Dan Campbell likes. That's what he looks for in an offensive lineman. He wants someone that's going to bulldoze guys and someone that's going to physically hurt players. I like Fano a lot. I don't think he's really a Dan Campbell styled guy, though. He doesn't have the same mentality. I think Monroe Freeling, on the other hand, he's a big body that bulldozes people, man. I think that's great
he's biting some kneecaps for
well, exactly. Yup, spot on. So
100%.
I think if the board falls that way, they're licking their chops. And I think he falls out of the top 10. We probably see Detroit trade up to get him.
I wouldn't be surprised. Especially with the NFC North being the arms race that it is, and I have another NFC North team on deck here. I mean, if they have a guy that they have just a draft crush on, they are not going to mess around. They're not going to be like, oh, but what about 2027? They're gonna use capital.
It's not just that. It's the fact this team's starting left tackle right now, according to ESPN, is Larry Borum.
Larry Borum?
Yeah.
Oh, brother.
I mean, they need a guy.
Yeah.
They need a guy. And the fact that Freeling's still there, I think it's perfect. This is Dan Campbell's wet dream right here.
Yeah,
this is exactly what they're looking for as a team.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Speaking of the Vikings, though, we got the Vikings here at 18. Vikings have a few different needs. Quarterback is the number one, but unfortunately, actually, hold on. I'm gonna ask your opinion on this. We're not supposed to do this, but I'm gonna ask you: is this a sneaky Ty Simpson landing spot? Listen. I'm not saying I would do it. Okay.
No. I know what you mean because sometimes we talked about it. The Vikings were the victim of this last time.
Yeah.
The media starts up the fire.
Yes.
They start up the smoke, and it ends up
all of a sudden J.J. McCarthy is a top 10 pick.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's not unreasonable to say.
And you're like, well, they have Kyler. Kyler's on a 1-year deal, right?
Yeah, he's on a 1-year deal. But then you're just not learning from you're not learning from last
that's
time.
Why I think if this wasn't the team that literally just did this 2 years ago, J.J. McCarthy, I'd actually probably be pushing this agenda a little bit more. But I'm gonna resist.
It's more about what they did to Sam Darnold. Because how funny would it be if they take Ty Simpson, Kyler Murray plays pretty well,
Kyler Murray wins
and then
the Super
they move
Bowl.
on from Kyler Murray. He ends up winning a Super Bowl with this.
He wins a Super Bowl.
Actually,
we all think of Kevin O'Connell. We all think of Kevin O'Connell as this QB whisperer. Meanwhile, he's just hampering every quarterback. J.J. McCarthy's gonna go to San Francisco and overtake Brock Purdy next year. It's gonna be awesome. KOC is just the Jets with good PR. Anyways, that's clipped. That's clipped 100%. But no, the Vikings are a team. I think they might go. They might go defensive line here.
Yeah,
thinking about it.
The Vikings are so tough, but I think there are good defensive linemen on the board. I'm with you.
Akeem Messidor could be a good option. Again, another player who I think is really ready to go day one. Comes out of the box.
Dude,
he's ready to go.
Love him.
Going to be an impact player.
I really like his film. It's a damn shame that he's going to fall because he's 25.
And he is going to fall because he's 25, but also do the Vikings care in 2026 that he's 25? I don't think so. I don't know. I think that they're trying to win a crowded NFC North, and they are trying to, now maximize the 1 year they have with Kyler Murray, but then after that, maybe they're thinking, okay, if J.J. McCarthy is, going to be a relief pitcher and come out of the bullpen next year or in 2027, maybe we have to capitalize still on his rookie deal. So I think Akeem Messidor is a sneaky good pick here for the Vikings, although they could go in a few options. This one's a little perplexing in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm just looking back on my film on Messidor, and I agree. The Vikings are a very tough pick. I don't know if you remember who I had them taking last time. That guy is still on the board.
Don't.
You don't?
No.
I went on the
offensive. Sadiq, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm not saying you have to do it, but I still think that's what they do if it looks this way.
Yeah, you could go Sadiq.
Ride the two tight end wave the same way you saw McVay do it. I mean, it worked for them.
But he hasn't
And
really.
you
That's
saw
the thing.
Seattle won a Super Bowl doing it. Kevin O'Connell is nothing if not following the trends that work in this league,
Yeah.
right? I would be surprised if Sadiq is on the board and he doesn't take him, is what I'll say. Unless there's some really good player that also fell.
Yeah, that's a good pick. Dang it, I wish I thought of Sadiq. No, to be clear,
Now
I did
you
think
won't
of
do
Sadiq.
it just because I said it.
No, to be clear, I did think of Sadiq, but I was also thinking about Hawkinson and like they made a priority to restructure his contract. They clearly wanted him in Minnesota.
No,
I didn't
I'm
know
not
if they
saying
would want to
Sadiq
go.
replaces Hawkinson. I'm saying you get both of them.
Yeah, but then you want to run. I mean, I guess you could run 12 personnel until the wheels fall off with Addison.
That's
and
the
Jefferson.
point.
But yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. You're right.
I'm glad. Now I feel like I have back-to-back picks.
Yeah, good one. Well, I already picked Messidor, so go. Sadiq's there.
Oh,
if you want to take him.
you did
Yeah,
already pick Messidor?
I selected him.
Okay.
So if you want to go, the Vikings. The
Okay.
Vikings actually are the
I didn't know you like locked that in.
famous
You see,
famous
I
piece
don't
of
see the
draft
draft.
lore. They are one of the only teams to ever get their pick skipped in the draft. So
Oh,
they
no,
made
I
sure.
know.
They
did
made
it
sure
back-to-back
now.
years, right?
I think they almost did it back-to-back years. They definitely did it one year,
Oh.
but they ended up with Kevin Williams, so kind of worked out really well for him. They are terrified and have PTSD of that incident, so they run up and take Akeem Mesidor, and they're like, "Oh shit, we forgot about Kenyon Sadiq." And then now the Panthers are like grinning and smiling because I'm guessing that's your pick here for Carolina.
Well, ooh, I didn't think about that. Could you see Dave Canals going away from 11 though? Or no, he could just rock him as the starter. I mean, Jatavion Sanders
what's
is
the Jatavion
irreplaceable.
Sanders ain't exactly great competition.
Yeah. You know what? I think you are right on that.
Sadiq is a much better blocker than
And oh my god, yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know what?
Pick? Can I click it?
I'm with you. I'll go Sadiq
right.
because that's the thing about that Panthers pick. It's BPA. It really is like
kind of, yeah.
It feels BPA. It's BPA, but preferably an offensive weapon. Those top three receivers already went. You like Coker enough for him to be your 2 next year.
I agree. Right. I agree.
And then you have Sadiq as like he's actually the second option, you know? So I'm with you. I think Sadiq is definitely the pick because we don't know if he could really be that offensive weapon at the NFL level because in college he really wasn't. Because the production, he didn't really do it. But when he did get the ball, when he got targeted, he produced, right? Not his fault he was used like he was Drew Sample when he had Tony Gonzalez level athleticism.
We got Durham Smythe out here in Oregon, and we're talking about, No, I agree. And I was thinking, too, about, like, Bryce Young, and I was like, does he throw to his tight ends? And you know, in the NFL, maybe not so much because I don't know they just really had an elite tight end. But, dude, at Alabama, there's a reason that Cameron Latu was a third-round pick. Cameron Latu was buns. And he was a third-round pick because Bryce Young found him all the time. So having a dependable tight end, I think, does harken back to his days at Alabama. And like you said, Ted McMillan will be their 1. Sadiq could be their option number 2. And then now Jalen Coker.
Sadiq is also, like, you have to keep in mind, he's the fastest receiver. He's the fastest tight end we ever seen. Like, factual. Like, he ran the fastest 40 by a tight end in combine history. So, yeah, like, he's a tight end, but he's not really a traditional tight end. He could be used like one because, oh, my Lord, this guy could block. But he's also, like, the type of receiver. He's the type of athlete you line up out wide at receiver. So, he's – I mean, you're talking about most unique player in the class. He's up there. Like, he's definitely top 3. Like, he's very interesting because he could – stonewall block. The only concern is the numbers weren't there in college, but how much does that really matter?
I think that's a victim of Oregon's offense. They had a young, inexperienced quarterback. There were games like Oregon was a powerhouse for the majority of the year, but there were games where the offense didn't sync correctly. Like you could just tell things were off. I think a lot of that was in the passing game with Dante Moore. His inexperience showed a lot last year, unfortunately. This isn't a 2027 quarterback draft breakdown, so I'm not going to get fully into the weeds, but I think a lot of that is just a victim of his offense. But for Pick 20, I get the pleasure of picking for Jerry Jones and the Dallas Cowboys once again.
What a pleasure.
I have a guy in mind, and I don't think you're going to like it. And I don't even know if I like it.
But will Jerry World like it? That's the important thing.
Yeah, I'm really leaning into to clarify. I'm really leaning into like Jerry Jones. What does he want? What does he like? We've talked about this guy in our preview show, in our positional breakdown video, and this is a guy who I don't know is the best edge rusher in this class, but he made a lot of splash plays, both in the pass and in the run. A lot of TFLs, even though he's not a great run defender. A lot of TFLs, a lot of sacks. Cassius Howell, keep him in
Oh, I
state
love
from Texas
Cassius
A&M,
Howell.
and I know you love it. I don't know if you love it at pick
I
20.
like that pick.
Yeah,
I do.
I think Jerry Jones is looking at a guy, and this is legitimately the way he thinks, who's got a great highlight tape, a guy who is already well beloved in the state of Texas, and obviously it's a big position of need for them. I think once you get past the Arvell Reese, David Bailey, Ruben Bain tier, you start getting into the Akeem Mesidors. This is kind of dealer's choice on which type of pass rusher you like. He is going to prefer the guy who is maybe the second or third best just pure pass rusher in this draft class. He's got issues as a run defender. We know this.
Mm.
But explosive player, I think that this is a very Dallas Cowboys coded pick for them at pick 20.
Ty, do we go Ty? Like, do we?
This is
How much
another
do
one
we
where
buy?
I'm just like, I had them last time and I was like, damn, I have no idea.
Well, no, I know what I'm thinking. Like, there's a part of me that's like, do they go Ty? But then there's also the part of me that's just like, dude, like they're just gonna bring in Aaron Rodgers right after like rookie minicamp and everything. Like that's just what he wants to avoid the fines, and that's the only reason, that he didn't sign yet. I still feel that way. It feels like the writing's on the wall. Aaron Rodgers is going to be quarterback in the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he wouldn't come if they drafted Ty Simpson. So no, they're not going to draft Ty Simpson because a million
Could they
9 and 8
draft him
seasons.
just to spite him though? Like, is there level? Does Mike McCarthy harbor that much pettiness to pass up on Aaron Rodgers in the draft twice?
Can I
apart?
say very firmly what I think Pittsburgh will do?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
And it's such a Pittsburgh Steelers thing to do, to reach on this guy. Not like majorly reach, but it's just exact. Oh, you know exactly what I'm going to say here?
I think you're going to say Kane Proctor.
No, I'm going to say CJ Allen.
Ooh.
It just feels like a Pittsburgh Steeler. Like, strong, linebacker. Yeah.
Yeah.
He could defend the run. Like,
yeah.
And it'd just be like, it would make me feel the same exact way as like every first round pick that they made over the past few years, where I'm just like, yeah, like they get better. That pick definitely makes them a better football team. It's not going to change the world, really.
You don't like Derek Harmon, dude? What's going on? You don't like
Derek Harmon's fine. He's a good player, but I literally react the same exact way. Like, Derek Harmon's good. Like, I don't dislike Derek Harmon, but I'm just like, there's not really much upside to that. CJ Allen, I mean, you want like a Sam linebacker? CJ Allen, he could be a Sam linebacker, and he'll start for like 10 years.
Yeah.
That's all he's not going to ever be an all-pro, ever. Like, I maybe, and I don't mean to like trash talk CJ Allen. I think he's a very high floor player. But at a certain point, this team needs to start making winning moves. And they haven't done that.
So I'm going to go here with pick 22 with the Chargers. And they would be, Jim Harbaugh would be crying on his TV when he sees that his brother took Vega Ione with the top 5 pick, because that is Jim Harbaugh's wet dream to do the same. But he has the lowly pick 22, and he cannot do that. I don't know. I know it's a desperate need. I don't know that there's another guy on the interior offensive line that you're willing to take at pick 22. My focus then might switch to taking Omar Cooper at receiver.
Or do you take Fanoa's falling? Like,
but they don't need tackle though. Can he bump inside the guard?
But could you bump him in guard? That becomes the discussion.
I don't know.
Rashawn Slater has some short arms. Do we make that change?
Well,
no, I'm kidding.
He's an excellent player.
That's
where I'm like in
a
I'm
saying, like,
because
you could move Fano to guard.
I mean, on paper you could, but
like I don't see why.
Are you gonna take it?
I don't see
20?
why. Yeah, I think I personally, like, I watched him and I was like, yeah, you can move this guy to guard. He'd be fine. Like,
all right.
The only issue I think would be anchor. Like, his anchor wasn't great on the edge. Now imagine needing to block like nose tackles. Exactly. We're also seeing these guys are getting more and more athletic and lighter on the interior.
Yeah, he's 6'6", 308, so he's definitely not small. But Fano, this to me, I know we're not doing trades. This to me is a premier like trade down spot.
Yeah.
Like if they're like,
No,
man,
that's the thing. When some of these guys are falling, it's like, is someone going to trade
because
up? No,
they don't need
we don't do
Fano, but
trade up.
like, dude, they don't need Fano. But what if the Bears at 25 start calling the phone? They'd like Spencer Fano
Yeah,
for sure.
well, yeah.
You
So
know
you
what I
think
mean?
they go
So
Omar Cooper is what you're saying with
I don't love it. I mean, Fano, like, yes, you could bump Fano inside. I typically don't like. I don't like being like, oh, we're gonna draft this guy super high in the draft and then switch his position immediately to a position he barely played. I'm just not big on it, especially for a guy his size. But
it comes
you've
down.
convinced
I
me.
mean,
I'll
well,
go
do
Fano.
you think that's what do you think Harbaugh thinks? Let me
Harbaugh
ask
loves
that.
offensive linemen. Okay, point blank period. Point blank period. He probably wants 40 of them. But the problem is that this guy has he has two great tackles. Now, again, you could also make the argument like, yeah, he had two great tackles, and they were both hurt the whole entire year last year. Having Spencer Fano as your backup left tackle would be pretty damn good. I agree with that, but also, is that too rich of a pick? But I'll go Fano because I think that in this spot they would probably trade down, but we're not doing that. So I'll take Fano, and then their plan would be to bump him inside the guard.
Mm-hmm. So Philly would have taken Fano. Philly would have liked that.
Absolutely.
Like that. That's just like the Howie Roseman mentality of stack up on as many tackles as possible.
Yep.
Let alone if a great player like that's falling, that's what they do.
Absolutely.
But no, Fano just got taken. So now, Philly, I think defensive line probably gets some more depth there.
Yeah, same thing.
Peter Woods probably, right?
Ooh, okay.
Or do you think they go edge? Like no matter
think,
because you rotate guys all the time, so it's
yeah,
like
you do.
I know what I get it. They already have two starting defensive tackles, but what if you're always getting Jalen Carter at 100%? Right? What if you're always getting Jordan Davis at 100%? Like that's the mentality of like keeping fresh legs on the field. The only thing is, I would rather take the edge help. But do we like Keldrick Falk enough if you're Howie Roseman?
Well, the one thing I do like about Keldrick Falk that I mentioned to you in our preview episode or in our draft analysis episode, he doesn't turn 21 until the start of the season.
That's true.
We don't know what Keldrick Falk really is going to be. Like, we know Akeem Essador, like, he's going to collect AARP insurance in the next few years. Like, we know he's basically fully realized as a player, in my opinion.
And I also think that there's a certain, like, Keldrick Falk's main issue is play recognition, and that's very fixable.
Yeah, I think so, too.
You have him in a rotational role where you will be developing him. He has so many great traits, Keldrick Falk. I really do think, you know what, let's go with that. He'll be in a rotational role early. You'll be able to develop him. I think Philly takes Keldrick Falk. Yeah.
All right. And I picked 24 of the Cleveland Browns. And I'm just going to do it. I am just going to do it. I'm sorry. Ty Simpson's a Cleveland Brown.
Wow.
Ty Simpson's a Cleveland
Brown.
Yeah,
I mean, you get the fifth-year option by taking him now.
You get the fifth-year option. Like, Todd Monken is inheriting Shedeur Sanders and Deshaun Watson, a guy who was a fifth-round pick and was terrible. Well, Shedeur wasn't terrible. Let me back up. A guy who was a fifth-round pick and was not good last year. He was one of the most inefficient quarterbacks ever. You know, some of that I get. You know, bad surroundings. I understand. And then you get your other quarterback is the worst transaction in the history of professional football. Honestly, probably the history of professional sports when you factor in the contract and the compensation. So I'm not exactly thinking that Todd Monken is super thrilled with his quarterback room right now. And if you're Todd Monken and you want to be the Cleveland Browns head coach for longer than 365 days, you got to get the quarterback position right. Now, his options currently are mentor Shedeur Sanders, which I've never really been that high on, or B, you go and you get your guy in the draft, QB2, you get him at pick 24. Again, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's another name to add to the back of that long jersey. But Ty Simpson, to me, feels like a Cleveland Brown because there's a couple other spots he could go, like Pittsburgh we talked about maybe, but Cleveland makes sense. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. And if it does work, they finally have a franchise quarterback. So Ty Simpson to me.
Now, this isn't like a real ethical way to evaluate anything. But I still think it's necessary because I think it's very true in this sense. Can I ask you to do a little like exercise with me, Mike?
Go ahead. I love exercising.
Can you close your eyes, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just close your eyes.
Yep.
Imagine Ty Simpson in a
Yep.
Cleveland Browns uniform.
I can imagine it.
Just
I'm
imagine.
getting Tim Couch
Imagine.
vibes. I'm getting Tim Couch
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah. See that's not good.
No, I didn't say it was good. I'm just saying I can see it.
Yeah, that's like
He's like,
I
yeah, that's the
see.
problem, Mike.
Yeah, like I'm sorry, like dead on arrival.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely,
I do not see
absolutely.
that going. Like it could happen, but there's no way it would.
Are
go
we?
well.
Are we never wrong so early, just so far in advance that we are predicting the Sam Darnold career arc, where it's like drafted instantly dead on arrival, floats around for a couple years, goes to like Sean McVay in 2035, and then 2036 he goes to like Carolina and wins the Super Bowl. Are we going that far in advance on the Ty Simpson career arc?
Browns fans, just be happy that we spared you a little bit. We
We did.
spared you a little bit because he did say Sam Darnold career arc instead of Baker Mayfield career arc.
Well, Sam Darnold won a Super Bowl, so
Yeah,
there you go.
no, but like honest, like I could see Ty Simpson being like, let's say he's a Steeler. In my heart of heart, in my head, like I could imagine that being fine. Let's say he ends up backing up Matthew Stafford and going to the Rams. I could see that going very well. Even what you said about the Vikings, I could see that going well.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I do not.
If
If
I'm
he's
Ty Simpson, I certainly don't want to go to
and
the
there's
Browns.
no like logistic reason, it doesn't look right.
No, it doesn't. He's a guy that will need like Fernando Mendoza is the type of quarterback that normally goes to the Browns, where it's like, all right,
Yes. Yeah.
top quarterback, you can't escape him, like whatever. But Ty Simpson, I'd feel so bad if he fell in the draft. I mean, you know what this is? This is Brady Quinn. Brady Quinn fell in the same draft as Aaron Rodgers, went pick like 25. Poor guy still in the draft all night, then gets taken by Cleveland. He's like, well, at least I'm gonna go to Cleveland. I'm gonna be the third pick in the draft. Like, what the heck is this? Aaron Rodgers falls, of course, and goes to Green Bay. But no, poor Ty Simpson, man. I don't know if this one's gonna work out for you, buddy.
Poor Cleveland.
No, not poor Cleveland. They did it to themselves. Don't trade 3 first-round picks for Deshaun Watson.
No,
and give
I'm
him
saying the
$280 million.
people of Cleveland.
Oh, this is poor residents of
Poor
Cleveland,
Ohio. Yeah.
Poor Ohio, man. At least y'all got. I mean,
The
Reds
Columbus
kinda
Blue
suck.
Jackets are pretty good.
I mean, Ohio State's good. You know, they're good.
Yeah,
you
no,
got
that's
that.
true.
Yeah, but baseball team's kind of mid.
Now we got.
Teams.
Let's talk about your hometown now, because we got Illinois, Chicago right here. Go ahead, lay it on me.
Yeah, no, this one is pretty particular. I think that they are going to go with defensive linemen.
You think?
Sure.
I have the same thing. Like that. I want to hear your insight a little bit, just because again, it's Chicago.
Yeah.
I think edge or safety is like the clear position need. It's just a little bit of like, well, those positions kind of went. I don't think they go with McNeil Warren.
No, I think they'd go Peter Woods here.
Ooh, you think they go interior defensive line?
Yeah. Oh,
That's
yeah.
interesting.
I
think
do
that
think
I love Peter Woods. So
Yeah.
like, I'm for it.
defensive tackle last year was, and I think, listen, this part of this is because of the draft. I think if Keldrick Falk was available, they would go with Keldrick Falk. I think if Messidor is available, Messidor would be a good pick. Probably not an edge rusher you love at pick 25. Peter
Do
Woods,
they
though.
go T.J. Parker?
No, I don't
Like
like.
I think that's on brand for them a little bit, but I also just think it's a reach.
Yeah, I think Peter Woods is a good enough player to take that you like at pick 25.
Yeah, and they need
I
the interior
certainly-
help. You know,
I certainly think it's defensive lineman. Their defensive lineman last year was horrendous.
so I'm with you. Peter Woods.
Yeah,
I'll
Peter
go
Woods
ahead.
is a pick for me because whatever the best defensive tackle, defensive end available is probably going to be a Chicago Bear at pick 25, honestly.
We should do the segment break here. Okay. Let's do it. Now for the Buffalo Bills pick. It's interesting. It definitely is a lot of directions they could go here. Brandon Bean's team here, all eyes on them. I think like draft day trade is probably what we're looking at for like some other receiver that isn't worth a first rounder. But I'm curious, what do you have them doing with this pick right here?
Omar Cooper could be a pick here that I wouldn't be
Hmm.
opposed with. I mean, their receiver room is pretty bare bones right now. I mean, you like
You're
DJ
telling me
Moore,
DJ
so
Moore is the wide receiver one?
well, he's the
We
best
never
receiver
had
in
this
the league.
conversation
So
before.
he's the best receiver in the league. So I'm just gonna keep going farther. I'm gonna be like our politician. I'm just gonna keep going farther to one side.
And I'll keep going lower. I'll
And
keep
and
you keep going like he's getting better and better, and I'll keep
and then
like
by the end of our show, we'll have a government shutdown for a month. So, anyways, we will meet in the middle and say that as a whole, their receiver room needs a lot of help. Omar
yeah.
Cooper to me is probably who they'll go with, but they could again. The Bills are kind of a weird spot because like on one hand you could pick them to go to the Super Bowl, but you could also point out 10 different spots on the roster they need help with.
Yep. They have
Defense
number
is
seven.
certainly a big hole.
How? Yeah. No, I agree. And they should be addressing that because with no McDermott, I feel like people aren't prepared for like how bad this defense is
Yeah,
going to look.
yeah, I agree. Their defense
Like
could take a huge
you
step down.
thought it wasn't great with McDermott.
Mm-hmm.
At least they only looked bad against the good offenses. Like this
Right.
year, oh, it's gonna be bad. It's
Yeah.
gonna be really bad.
So maybe their
But
strategy is just get receivers and score as many points as
no,
possible.
that's the thing. I don't trust Brandon Bean to really self-scout himself here
Yeah, I
at
agree.
all. So not only I know it's not my pick, but I think they'd go receiver, and I don't even think they'll go with the right one. I don't think they go with Omar Cooper. I think they'll take like Denzel Boston probably. Because
Yeah,
you're
honestly,
trying to completely replace Keon Coleman, right?
yeah.
Lord,
If we're
you
going
can't
like
have him touch the field after how you talked about him.
no, I'd go with Denzel Boston honestly because I think that's a good happy medium where it's like okay they need wide receiver that makes sense and then it's like oh Brandon B what the hell are you doing that's the wrong receiver like that's the like
Yep.
that's the like market for them so I do think Boston is a good pick for them I'll go ahead and take him.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So now we go to San Francisco. And man, honestly, there's a part of me that wants to go Omar Cooper here. There is. Uh because I just think like that's a Shanahan type of guy. Shanahan would love him. Just with the route running ability he has. Like he has some crazy good routes. Uh I could also see them like reaching on Chris Brazzell out of Tennessee, but I don't think they're gonna go receiver. I think defensive line is big for them. Like interior defensive line, they need to upgrade there. They tried to address it last year. The two guys they drafted, they didn't do well. Simple as that. They didn't do a good job. I think Caden McDonald goes right here. That's who I'm going to take for San Francisco. I think it helps them for when, their edge rushers, they've had some questionable health. Caden McDonald could get to the quarterback and get some pressure. So he'll help. And when you are fully healthy across the defensive line, this is going to wreck shop. Like their defensive line is going to wreck people. You lost Robert Saleh. That means you have to have players stepping up because the scheme won't be quite as good or you won't be quite as well coached. Let's be honest. In terms of scheme, they did the same thing, and they're going to continue to do the same thing. Rush 4, quarters behind it. You can't rush 4, though, unless you have some very good defensive linemen. Caden McDonald, big upgrade there for them.
Yeah, and I know that was kind of their strategy last year when they took C.J. West, but I don't know that it necessarily paid dividends in year
Alfred
one.
Collins, they drafted 2 guys, but neither of them,
Yeah.
they didn't do a great job. And maybe you trust them to develop,
Yeah.
but that's what that other defensive tackle spot.
But now you're having them develop without Robert Saleh there, so that's an additional hill.
Exactly. Yep.
Excuse me. I agree. I think Caden McDonald is an excellent pick for them. Very similar to the Bears. It was very evident late in the year their defensive line was just holding them back to what their potential could be. I mean, the Niners dealt with a lot of injuries as well. Although, fun fact, the Bears actually lost the most amount of snaps to defensive players this year. People don't think that, but obviously the Niners had injuries all over the field. But Caden McDonald is a great pick here. For the Houston Texans, I mean, as much as maybe I don't like this player, when you look at what their needs are and when you look at where they're at as a team, if they want to have a functioning offense next year, they need some help on the offensive line. Like, straight up 100%. Caden Proctor, to me, is probably their pick here. Again, not my favorite tackle in the world, but they need a functioning offensive line. They need guys who can step up and play. Take your pick between him or Blake Miller. I think
or
probably
Lemieux. I think you could even put Lemieux here. Like the only thing is they love these big. They love. They
do love the big guys, and I don't know. I think as much as he has a lot of bad film, and trust me, there is some real bad on his film. I think if you
Real
really squint
bad.
your eyes and tilt your head, you could see a good tackle in there somewhere with Caden Proctor. I really
I
do.
don't know about that.
I think again, you
I don't
really
know
have to
about
squint
that.
your eyes, and you probably have to do like a full like
You
Dutch angle.
probably have
Like
to turn the film off and like do some psychedelic drugs and
if you
then look
just
at the
look at
TV.
his high school recruiting rating, then you probably think he's the greatest offensive tackle ever. No,
That's true.
there's a good tackle in there under like 50 piles of dirt. Like okay, and I that sounds so mean to say out loud, but like I do think that if you're really thinking about who can maximize who has the maximum potential, it's probably Caden Proctor. I'll go with him for pick 28 with the Houston Texans.
Yeah, I don't know. I hate him, but I
You
also
don't like
think
the
I had
player, but what about the position?
no the
Like the thought
mentality.
process?
I get it.
Yes,
They need an
yes.
offensive tackle, but again, Lemieux's there. Like I
I'm
will
not a big
say
fan of
though,
Lemieux. Not a big fan.
okay, well even Blake Miller, but
I don't like Blake
last
Miller
time I
either.
also had them take
I
Caden
think this
Proctor
is an
because I
instance
don't
where
really
these
have that
guys.
much faith in their ability to evaluate offensive linemen.
I really did think this is a spot where ideally these guys go in the second, like late second,
Mhm.
but because of we talk about quarterback inflation, because of offensive line inflation, these guys are going to be back into the first rounder guys.
How
So
about cornerback inflation? Because I think the Chiefs are going to go ahead and take Colton Hood here.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah, no, I think. Listen, so here's the thing. I know we've seen now 2 Tennessee corners go. You have to keep in mind, Colton Hood has always been a CB1. Like he transferred from one school to another, and when he came to Tennessee, McCoy was already hurt. McCoy didn't play, and Hood has shown some ability. I mean, he has looked good zone coverage and man coverage. Like you like some of the stuff you've seen from Hood. Uh, I don't know if I quite have a first round grade on him. I probably don't, but they need a corner and they need one bad. If they don't take one now, like honestly, I like D'Angelo Ponds more,
He's small
but
though, so that probably keeps him out of the first.
he's small and I don't think he fits the system at all.
Nah, I don't
That's
think
the
so.
issue.
'Cause
D'Angelo Ponds, if you're running like the old Gus Bradley defense and it's zone coverage every snap,
Right.
yeah, Ponds is a great pick. But for what Steve Spagnuolo likes to do, you want more physicality. And I do
agree.
think you get that out of Colton Hood. I just think it's a better scheme fit, even though, again, it's not someone I have graded out in round one. It's still a player I really like, and they need the position. It's a good scheme fit. They're going to go ahead and do it.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that. Miami. This is again an interesting pick. We talked about Miami earlier. BPA, like
You probably need to take the receiver here, no?
no, I don't think they.
You
I don't
you
think
think
they
with
need to take a receiver because they're not going to be good next year. They're not going to be good next year.
but you're evaluating a young quarterback.
Well,
Look at
here's
their
my thing.
receiver core. You need to evaluate the quarterback.
Here's my thing
And
with
you can't
well, if you
evaluate
want
the
it, if
quarterback
you
with those
want
guys.
that logic, then why they trade Jalen Waddle? You know what I mean? And I like to trade
Because
Jalen
they
Waddle.
got a first round pick that they could use to draft another receiver.
I don't think that they're in any type of urgency to draft a receiver. I think they know they're going to suck next year. And yes, they have, a contract offer. They have a contract out for Malik Willis. It's really not that expensive. It's like 22 or 23 a year. So realistically, I don't think that if a guy falls that they love, if Omar Cooper's there and they're like, man, we love him, which he is in our simulation, I think they got to go BPA. I don't know that receiver is a top priority. Now, if they were trying to compete next year, I would say yes. Receiver is a huge hole. They need.
I mean,
to address
how
it.
far is he from best player on the board right now?
Not far. That's what I'm saying. But I don't think what I'm trying to say is I don't think they need to pigeonhole themselves to saying we're taking the best receiver available because they have holes.
So where are you looking? What? Because
I
again,
think
I would say he's up there in terms of best player.
he's close. I think you're looking probably at if you like one of the edge rushers available. If they like T.J. Parker, maybe. If they like Caleb Banks, maybe. But Emmanuel McNeil Warren out of Toledo. I think.
Well, we
is a
have them
position.
taking Lineman earlier.
Oh, that's true. That is a good point.
So,
Thank you for correcting me.
Yeah.
Then I guess Omar Cooper would probably be the pick.
No, we had Delane. Sorry, I just double checked.
Oh, Delane.
We had Delane earlier. So
Yeah,
complete right. Secondary overhaul.
Yeah. So and Jeff Halfley, like that seems to be one of his bread and butters.
It is. You're right.
So
now McNeil Warren is a little bit more of like a box safety, and that's not really as much what Halfley does. But maybe a nickel. Like that's what's weird about Warren.
I think
right? Is he a
maybe
nickel because he's so good against the run?
Maybe
or
he is.
Is he a box safety?
Walmart Devin Witherspoon, where you feel really good about him playing nickel and playing the run on the perimeter and stuff. Good coverage guy. I think when we're talking about DBs now in the modern NFL, safety is a really loose term. It is.
Mhm.
Is he a nickel? Is he a safe? Is he a deep safety? Is he a box safety? Is he a
Guys are
boundary?
moving too much. You're everywhere.
Yeah,
If you're a
exactly.
DB,
So
you're a DB. Guys
yeah,
move so much now.
yeah, exactly. So I
Yeah.
think that again they go with the defense guy. I don't think that they need to be compelled to take receiver because again they're not going to be good next year. They're going to be taking
I
one of
just
the quarterbacks next year.
mm,
I do not know that they're going to be receiver bent, hell bent on receivers.
I
Keep
think
in
it
mind
helps
though,
you evaluate the quarterback, so that's why they need to
I
take
don't
one.
think they
But
care about
that's
evaluating the
my
quarterbacks. They're going to take one next year. So that's what I think.
well, you know how I feel about Malik Willis, so you're breaking my heart.
Yeah, I know. I am right now. Couple more
So
picks for us down
yeah,
down
no,
to the home
Omar
stretch here.
Cooper is a slam dunk for the Patriots right now. I
Okay.
mean, miracle he even fell this far. If this happens, I'm a big Omar Cooper guy, so him going to the Patriots, being able to be a young, impressive wide receiver for them. I mean, it could be dangerous. Even as Kyle Williams continues to develop, they could be damn good. I mean, I think it wouldn't take too long for him to be better than Stephon Diggs. And that's not a knock on Diggs because I liked a lot of the work he did. I'm just big on Omar Cooper and his route running ability. So, yeah, I think the Patriots would take him.
Okay, I like Omar Cooper for the Patriots, and I'm going to make a pick for Seattle here. And it's going to not make sense when I say it out loud because they just are such different sizes. But I think the Seahawks don't really have a lot of holes right now. That's kind of one of the privileges of winning the Super Bowl. You don't have a lot of holes. Obviously, they need to replace some guys that left in free agency, most notably Kobe Bryant, Kenneth Walker, and Reek Woolen. I think of those guys, the most valuable position they lost was Reek Woolen at the corner spot. Are they a D'Angelo Ponds team? Like, I think that Mike McDonald would love to have a guy like him. I mean, he is completely the opposite of Reek Woolen. Reek Woolen's a freak athlete, 6'4", he runs like a gazelle, he's got long arms. D'Angelo Ponds is not that.
But
Technically
he's still
speaking, though,
freaky fast.
he's still freaky fast, and he, I think, is very similar stylistically to Josh Jobe, who is on the team. I could see D'Angelo Ponds being the pick for Seattle here. Again, I know people are going to hate on him for his size,
Size.
and maybe they say, oh well, he's not big enough. He's not your Reek Woolen replacement. And I'm not saying he's Reek Woolen, but I don't know that they're necessarily have a huge hole at any spot. So why not add depth to your corner room, a position that everybody's been successful in under Mike McDonald?
Yeah.
Literally everybody's
Well,
been
they
successful.
have to be really creative with him.
Yeah,
They have to.
yeah.
Because the thing is, you can't use him in some of those roles you use Woolen in, right? Where he
I
ends up
know
following
Woolen's
guys
more
down
a
the field.
boundary guy, and the
Well,
problem
and
is
the thing is, and listen, Ponds in the boundary, I don't think it's the end of the world. Like, I think it's completely fine because, again, like, I mean, you don't really want, you just want to avoid him playing like some tight man stuff, you know? And
yeah.
I guess you're always kind of an off coverage in the McDonald's scheme here.
Could
But
he?
the issue kind of becomes like when it does become a hand fight, he's not doing the stuff Reek Woolen used to do. He isn't.
No, no.
But if
Hopefully
you're
he's not
able to,
taunting the Rams sideline like Reek
yeah,
Woolen did as well,
yep.
though.
But
Yeah.
if you're able to be smart, and we know McDonald can, and kind of find ways to protect him and keep him out of the more physical aspects of playing corner, right? Avoid him playing too much man coverage, keep him mainly in zone. Things can go really well here
The
in the
other the
McDonald
other
system.
opportunity is to do exactly what they did with Kobe Bryant, where it's like undersized corner. You like you said, you're not in a very advantageous spot putting him on the boundary. Well, let him be the Kobe Bryant replacement. Again, do
Yeah.
you like him enough to pick him in the first round? I don't know, but I like the
You
film.
get the
I think
fifth year option.
you got the fifth year
Again,
option.
it's big.
It's big. So that's going to be our mock draft, guys. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you guys in the next episode.